After 13 years of Tory rule with 3 Prime Ministers in one chaotic year recently, his path to power is clear. It's very easy to dismiss this stuff as culture wars, diversionary tactics used by politicians, so we get mad about society instead of their mismanagement. But he still has to prove he knows what matters to the British people. And today, I believe he made a massive miscalculation.
Keir Starmer's political career hangs by a thread after a shocking revelation on live TV. Piers Morgan, known for his hard-hitting interviews, cornered the Labour leader with a question that left him stumbling for words. As the cameras rolled, Starmer's carefully crafted image began to crumble. What did Morgan uncover, and how will it impact Labour's chances in the upcoming election? The answer might just change the course of British politics. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Piers Morgan's interview with Keir Starmer was more than just another political grilling. It was a clash that left Westminster reeling and exposed cracks in Labour's carefully constructed facade.
He's reportedly briefed his top team to avoid talking about social issues, woke issues, because apparently the public doesn't care about them. And there is something to that, I get it. But make no mistake, this woke virus is real and it ruins people's lives.
Morgan, known for his unrelenting style, has taken down many a politician in his time. But this encounter with Starmer was different. It wasn't just tough, it was transformative. From the moment Starmer stepped into the studio, the tension was palpable. Morgan wasted no time in launching into his trademark rapid-fire questioning. But it wasn't the usual policy debates or manifesto promises that caught Starmer off guard. Instead, Morgan honed in on a topic that's become increasingly contentious: gender identity. What is a woman? Morgan asked point blank. It's a question that sparked heated debates across the UK, and Starmer's response was telling. He stumbled, visibly uncomfortable, uttering phrases like, "It is not right," and "I don't think that discussing this issue in this way helps." His body language spoke volumes, shifting in his seat, avoiding direct eye contact, and struggling to articulate a clear position. As Morgan pressed on, Starmer's carefully crafted image began to crumble. The Labour leader, known for his polished performances in controlled environments, found himself floundering under the harsh studio lights. His responses became increasingly convoluted, revealing a deeper issue within Labour's ranks: a struggle to balance traditional values with progressive ideals. The interview reached its climax when Morgan exposed what many are calling Starmer's shocking secret, an apparent directive within the Labour Party to avoid woke issues. This revelation sent shockwaves through Westminster, raising questions about Labour's true stance on crucial social issues. As the cameras rolled, viewers witnessed the moment Starmer's public persona began to unravel. His inability to provide clear answers on fundamental questions left many wondering, is this the man who could lead Britain? The fallout from this interview extends far beyond a single uncomfortable exchange. It sparked a fierce debate about political authenticity, leadership in the face of challenging questions, and the future direction of the Labour Party. As Westminster grapples with the implications, one thing is clear: Piers Morgan's interview with Keir Starmer may have just changed the course of British politics. Westminster insiders have long whispered about Starmer's media approach, but few realized just how fragile it was until now. What if the very tactics meant to protect him are actually setting him up for failure? Keir Starmer's strategy of avoiding tough interviews has come under intense scrutiny following his disastrous encounter with Piers Morgan. For months, the Labour leader has carefully curated his public appearances, opting for controlled environments where he could stick to rehearsed talking points. This approach seemed to work initially, allowing Starmer to present a polished image to voters without facing too many difficult questions. But the contrast between these managed appearances and the unpredictability of Morgan's interview couldn't be starker. In the controlled settings, Starmer appeared confident and articulate. Yet, when faced with Morgan's relentless questioning, he crumbled. The Labour leader's inability to provide clear answers on fundamental issues, like the definition of a woman, exposed the limitations of his media strategy. This cautious approach carries significant risks. While it may help Starmer avoid gaffes in the short term, it leaves him ill-prepared for the rigors of a general election campaign. Voters are increasingly frustrated with politicians who prioritize image over substance, and Starmer's evasiveness may be hurting his chances of connecting with the public. Other political leaders have faced similar challenges. Former Prime Minister Theresa May's robotic responses during the 2017 election campaign earned her the nickname Maybot and contributed to her party's poor performance. On the other hand, Boris Johnson's more freewheeling style initially won him support, though it later led to numerous controversies. As the interview progressed, a more alarming pattern began to emerge. Morgan's questioning hinted at a deeper issue within Labour's ranks, an apparent directive to avoid discussing woke issues. This revelation, if true, would expose a calculated strategy to sidestep controversial topics that could alienate certain voter demographics. The implications of this revelation are far-reaching. It raises serious questions about Labour's true stance on crucial social issues and Starmer's ability to lead on complex policy matters. More importantly, it undermines Starmer's credibility as a potential Prime Minister. How can voters trust a leader who seems unwilling or unable to engage with the pressing issues of our time? As Westminster grapples with the fallout from this interview, one thing is clear: Starmer's media strategy is in tatters. The question now is whether he can rebuild trust with the electorate or if this moment will define his leadership for years to come. While Starmer's media strategy isn't his only problem, a seemingly simple question has become his biggest political nightmare. How did defining woman turn into such a complex minefield for the Labour leader? Keir Starmer's struggles with the woman question have become a recurring theme in his leadership. During a recent interview, he fumbled when asked to provide a clear definition, leading to significant public backlash. What should have been a straightforward answer turned into a convoluted response, highlighting his inability to take a clear stance on divisive cultural issues. Starmer's comments, including the puzzling statement that it is not right to say only women have a cervix, left many voters scratching their heads. This ambiguity has put him in a precarious position, trying to balance the demands of various factions within his party and the wider electorate. The Labour leader finds himself walking a political tightrope on gender issues. On one side, he faces pressure from progressive elements within the party who advocate for a more inclusive definition of womanhood. On the other, traditional Labour voters expect clear and consistent messaging on what many see as a straightforward biological fact. This controversy reflects a broader debate raging in British politics. Gender issues have become a flashpoint, with feminist groups and LGBTQ+ organizations expressing frustration with Starmer's ambiguous stance. The lack of a clear position has led to internal discord within the Labour Party, as figures like MP Rosie Duffield challenge the party's messaging on women's rights. Starmer's equivocation on this issue is having a tangible impact on Labour's traditional voter base. Many longtime supporters feel disconnected from a leader who appears to sidestep crucial discussions. Public opinion polls indicate that a significant portion of the electorate is concerned about political leaders' stances on gender issues, viewing them as a litmus test for authenticity and transparency. As the controversy continues to simmer, the consequences of Starmer's ambiguity are becoming increasingly apparent. His inability to provide a clear definition of woman has become symbolic of broader leadership challenges within the Labour Party. It raises questions about his capacity to take decisive stances on complex issues and his ability to unite diverse factions under a cohesive vision. This stumbling block threatens to overshadow Labour's policy initiatives and could have far-reaching implications for their election prospects. As voters demand clarity and conviction from their leaders, Starmer's struggles with this seemingly simple question may well determine the future direction of the Labour Party and its chances of success at the ballot box. From the coal mines of Yorkshire to the docks of Liverpool, Labour has long been the voice of Britain's working class. But as Keir Starmer stumbles over defining a woman, a deeper identity crisis threatens to tear the party apart. Can Labour reconcile its traditional roots with the demands of urban progressives, or is it destined to lose both? Labour's struggle to balance diverse voter interests has never been more apparent. On one hand, the party's urban progressive base pushes for radical social change and environmental policies. On the other, traditional working-class supporters in smaller towns and rural areas feel increasingly alienated, questioning their place within a party that seems to have forgotten them. This divide is starkly evident in Labour's conflicting messaging on key issues. Take immigration, for instance. While Metropolitan Labour MPs advocate for more open borders, those representing former industrial heartlands face pressure from constituents concerned about job competition and cultural change. The result? A muddled policy that satisfies neither side and leaves voters confused about where Labour truly stands. Climate policy is another battleground. Urban Labour supporters demand aggressive action to combat climate change, including rapid transitions away from fossil fuels. But in communities still dependent on carbon-intensive industries, such policies are seen as a threat to livelihoods. Starmer's attempt to straddle this divide has left both camps frustrated and unconvinced. The internal discord within Labour is further highlighted by tensions with figures like MP Rosie Duffield. Her outspoken views on gender and women's rights have made her a polarizing figure within the party, emphasizing the lack of cohesion in Labour's messaging. This fracturing of unity raises serious questions about Starmer's ability to lead effectively and present a united front to voters. As the next general election looms, the consequences of Labour's identity crisis could be severe. Voters crave authenticity and clear stances on crucial issues. Starmer's inability to define what a woman is has become symbolic of a broader failure to articulate a coherent vision for Britain's future. Without a strong, unified message that resonates across its diverse voter base, Labour risks alienating both its traditional supporters and potential new voters.